Did you know that airport scanners have a pink button for when they think you look like a girl, and a blue button for when they think you look like a boy? And if your body doesn't match the button they choose for you, then you alarm the scanner. I never used to think of myself as transgender. I saw that as someone else's identity, someone else's story. I've always known I wasn't cisgendered, but I wasn't really a part of any communities. That changed one Tuesday morning at LAX. I didn't match either the blue or the pink button, and suddenly, my body was a security threat. They insisted on referring to my groin anomaly. I explained, that's my penis, not an anomaly. I identified myself as transgender, thinking it would flag them to recall that training I hoped they had once. The word transgender just seemed clearer. Besides, I didn't fancy trying to explain my non-binary gender identity to a bunch of government officials at 7 a.m. I just wanted to be as accommodating as possible. Unfortunately, my willingness to openly discuss my genitals didn't assuage their suspicions. So my penis underwent its first pat-down of the day, but my groin was still regarded as a threat and an anomaly. So I was handed off to a supervisor for a full body pat-down, which included my groin again and was very thorough. This new agent was sympathetic, though. They expressed themselves as an ally of the LGBT community. They gave me agency in how my body was handled during the pat-down. I felt respected. They did a full body pat-down and then cleared and released me. Until their supervisor came and intervened. The new supervisor informed me that policy dictated that I be taken to a private room. It was required that they use the front of their hands on my penis to confirm that it was actually a penis. I had been understanding up to this point. I reasoned they had a job to do, and I could make it easier by being well-behaved. But I couldn't imagine what would be required of me in that room. Tears started streaming down my face. All the coherent arguments I tried to make with the new supervisor were met with nothing but dismissive declarations. Every response was dripping with the word ma'am, even though I was asking for the blue button. Ma'am, even though I wear men's clothing. Ma'am, even though my penis is all we can talk about. My penis, which they are still referring to as an anomaly. I argued I should have the right to consent to the button that scans me. Their mistake shouldn't give them the right to grab my genitals a third time. But my rights didn't come into this equation. I alarmed the scanner twice. I was not allowed to go through again. That would be against policy. I flew several times a year out of this airport, this very security line, and never before had my penis been flagged as a potential threat or anomaly. That's when the supervisor treated me to a little lecture. The scanner operator chooses the pink or the blue button based on how you present. The word present was used against me like a weapon. I wasn't masculine enough to have earned the blue button, as if I was the cause of my own suffering. Besides, I was told I had failed under both buttons, as if I wasn't even recognizably human. The interaction was so bad that at one point a fellow passenger felt prompted to intervene. They yelled at the TSA. I am really sorry, I don't know, but this is a human being. Why can't you just consider that and give them a little compassion? I felt so much love in that moment. Someone who had no idea who I was, no clue about trans issues, but they recognized pain and fear in my face, and they stepped up to protect me. But that's the moment I knew I was screwed. It only highlighted what I'd been fighting. The TSA had all the power here. Everything was subject to their whim. The whim of their policy, the whim of their binary, the whim of this supervisor. They could keep me from getting to my plane, from getting to my best friend's wedding. The supervisor left to check the policy again, ma'am, if that'll make you feel better. They took the sympathetic agent with them. My tears had stopped as I stood there looking at my credit cards and shoes sitting just out of reach in the busy airport. I looked at this awkward agent who'd been left to guard me. This agent who had been so alarmed by my penis that they went over their supervisor's head to prevent me from getting to my plane. The sympathetic agent, the only one making any attempt at treating me like a human, didn't wield the power here. And then there was me, who woke up that morning not expecting that one government official could so violate my sense of self in less than 15 minutes, who didn't know that months later I would feel anxious just walking down the street, wondering if my penis was normal enough today. Before this, I worried I wasn't trans enough. Now, I wondered if my anxiety would spike every time I traveled. I thought about how many people's bodies are considered anomalies. The suspicion they are subject to every day, just for going to the bathroom, or for asking to be visible with pronouns that refer to who they actually are. How trying to be non-threatening and fly under the radar is sometimes the only way to stay safe or sane. This wasn't the first time I was made to feel invisible. It was just the first time I admitted it. Even through my haze, I reverted to the coping mechanism I knew best. I tried to teach. I gathered up any patients I could find, and I took it upon myself to try and help this awkward agent understand. Maybe if I could, it would be better for the next person. It was the only agency I had left. The supervisor returned, shepherding the sympathetic agent who looked like an elementary school student being made to make a rehearsed apology they didn't believe in. The sympathetic agent explained that they were newly promoted, that they hadn't yet learned all of the policy details, that they were very sorry for the inconvenience that I'd had, but now they had to take me into a private area and do another pat down, this time with the front of their hands. They apologized again. The authoritarian supervisor looked smug. No policy had been checked in their time away. The sympathetic agent was likely yelled at, maybe their promotion threatened. But the 30 seconds I spent in the private area with the sympathetic agent were infinitely easier than the 15 minutes I spent defending my existence to that supervisor. The pat-down was explained in detail to me, but then the sympathetic agent barely touched me before declaring that I was clear and free to go. Now. I could see the awkward agent watching in the corner, and I knew the sympathetic agent was going to get in trouble again for standing up for me. But I packed my things quickly and left. 6 months ago, I thought my gender identity was only mine, that it was private. But it isn't. I am transgender, and trying to fly under the radar only makes me invisible. And I'm done being invisible.